Well, well, well. Guess who it is? Diesel's back. Join me, subscribe, but get the word out. Diesel's back, and he ain't going nowhere. Yes, people. Hope you're all well. Welcome back to Diesel Arsenal. Back on the stream again. I actually do have a guest for you tonight. Very good friend of mine. You all know him. Goes by the name of Wazaruni. So here, let me bring him in. There he is. Boom.
Boom.
That's what Basil Brush says, isn't it? Boom, boom.
Yeah, exactly. Boom, boom.
That's you on a usual night out with the
Yeah,
birds.
exactly, mate. You know the story. Bang.
Oh, hey, mate. God, Warren, honestly. God, geezer's a savage. Yes. Hope we're all well, guys. Hope we're all well. Do you know what? I did get a bit worried, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. We was about to go live. I was speaking to Wazza behind the scenes. I saw literally 3 people in the chat. I started crying my eyes out. However, now I have gone live and I can see more than 3 people. Thank God for that. God, I didn't want to be one of those, those sad little saps. Yeah, I'm going live and I'm talking to no one but myself. Embarrassing. I know a few channels like that, but I'm not going to name them because I'm not that harsh, believe it or not. But anyway, here we are. Listen, before we crack on with what we're going to talk about, let me do what I normally do and obviously shout out the real superstars, and that is the people in the chat right now as I can see them. So let's start from the top. Big up to DJ Crane to be 14. DJ Crane to be 14 again. Oh my God. I'd take that in a heartbeat. DJ Crane, big up yourself, mate. We've got Manny as well. Manny, hope you're well, mate. Facts. Yes, we are going to touch on that. Don't you worry about that. Kabir Udden. Kabir is always one of the first, if not the first, in the chat. Big up to you, Kabir. I don't notice that, mate, because I do. I see everything. Hope you're well, brother. We've got AJ Bite in the chat as well. Big up, AJ. We've got Mike England. Big up yourself, Mike. Hope you're well. We've got Pepsi Pack in the chat. Big up to him. And our AFC always, come on, big up yourself. We've got Grant McRoberts. Look, 2 legends. I think he's on about me and you, Wazza. Oh, come on. Hey, oh, it's a buzz, isn't it, hearing that? Grant, stop it. God, you're giving me a semi, mate. Calm down. And I think, hang on. Just come, look, snuck in through the back door. Liam R97. Big up yourself, Liam. Hope you're well, mate. Come on, you are the legend, Liam. You know that. Right. If there was 8 people in the chat, now there's 11. Look, I appreciate I've gone slightly early tonight. Traffic out there, it's dark. People probably getting in from work. I don't know, right? I don't know. But literally, keep on coming through. We've got a lot of facts to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about our lovely manager who goes by the name of Michelle Arteta. Yeah? Oh, gorgeous Spanish-looking bitch. Anyway, and also, we've got Anurin Jones in the chat as well. Big up yourself, Anurin. Hope you're well, mate. Right, let's talk about this. Now, look, anyone who's seen my thumbnail, obviously, Arteta rant at Pgmol, having a bit of a moan about VAR, about the incident, the goal that shouldn't have stood against Newcastle. And anyone who's not seen it, I urge you to go and watch it because Michelle, has gone in proper. Yeah, Michelle used words like disgusting and it's a joke, and he's furious, he's fuming. He actually said the words, how the hell? I was like, right, okay. God, Michelle's coming with some attitude. And the reason why I want to talk about this, Warren, is, and obviously I've got you on, is because obviously I want to get your take on it. I want the guys in the chat to give me their take, but also I'm going to give you my take as well. Now, look, I've had so many people ring me up today and sort of, or text me even and say, look, what's your take on this, right? And I've watched it, yeah. And I watched the match in obviously real time as well, but I've also gone back and watched that that goal, the incident, what the incidents that led up to the goal. And I'm going to go against the masses a little bit here because my honest, but there is a caveat to this. So, guys, please let me land. Darren Sullivan, I'll see you in the chat. Big up yourself. Ali D as well. I'll see you. Do I think Arteta was right in what he said? Yes, I do. Right? I'm just going to quickly give you my opinion, Warren, and then obviously I'll come to you, right? I do. Now, sometimes when people ask me this, sometimes the way I look at it is, right, if it were me, what would I do? If I was the manager of Arsenal, what would I have done, right? That ball for me was blatantly out. It was out, right? Now, I'm not saying we lost because of that, although we did. I mean, there's more I'm going to talk about as to why we lost the game. That's not the only thing for me. Did it help us, though? No, it didn't, right? So I think he's actually, and do you know what? I like a manager who's irate. I do. I like a vocal manager. I do. I always have. You know, George Graham was like that. One thing I didn't like about Arsene Wenger, he was too nice, too quiet. I like a manager who's got a set of lungs on him, right? Or in this case, her. Yeah. But so a lot of what he said, Warren, I do agree with what he's saying. And don't forget, it's in the heat of the moment. It's after the game. Now, look, I don't rate this manager. Everyone knows that. But I've always said it's nothing personal. I don't hate him. I haven't got a vendetta against Arteta or not. So if he does something that I agree with, I'm not going to come on here and just in order to try and get a few more likes and views, I'm going to go with the masses, right? Yeah. However, this is where I have to, unfortunately, come back to bashing the geezer, right? Yeah. We all saw an interview that he did when he was asked about that incident, what happened with Liverpool. Yeah. And he came out, he said, look, you know, mistakes are going to happen. You know, we're talking about human beings here, you know, and we just have to give them the benefit of the doubt and get on with the game. Right. Now, he will say that because that happened against Liverpool. I think it was that Liverpool game against Spurs when that Diaz goal should have stood, but it didn't, etc., etc. Now, because of what happened to us against Newcastle, you then see a totally different Mikel Arteta, right? Because it was an incident that impacted on us. Yeah. Right. I'm not so much angry with Arteta. I'm more angry at the journalists because no one is really asking him the real questions that we want the answers to. For example, Kai Havertz, again, 98 minutes on the pitch, didn't get subbed. Yeah. Eddie Nketiah, you know, the second coming of Ian Wright after his hat-trick against Sheffield United. Has anyone seen Eddie since that game? No. Right? Nothing gets asked about that. Nothing gets asked about Kai Havertz. Should Kai Havertz have been sent off? In my opinion, yes. Yes, that's a blatant red. But also Bruno, that was a blatant red. Yeah. But no one's asking Mikel about this. It's all, you know, it's all nicey, lovey-dovey questions because this man is so protected, etc., etc., etc. Right? He's deflecting away from a very poor performance against Newcastle. And Warren, like I said last week, when we played West Ham, right, we all knew what that kind of game that was going to be. West Ham's golden boy, Declan Rice, is going back for the first time to the Olympic Stadium. You know West Ham are going to be up for it. You know their fans are going to be up for it. It was going to be a cauldron of hate, right? Let's have it right. Yeah, West Ham are going to be up for that game, and we knew the reasons why. A lot of it centered around Declan Rice. This game, Newcastle away in the wind, raining, that stadium, and we all saw what happened last season. Yes, we beat them 1-0. How we beat them, I'll never know. But what we took from that game was they don't, for whatever reason, there is a little something between us and Newcastle. There is. And you can tell in the game last season, they wanted to bully us, batter us, physically imposing, bigger than us, taller than us. They wanted to bully us. So we knew going into this game, it was going to be a carbon copy of what happened last season, right? Yeah. And I said on this stream, I said, look, within literally a minute or two, one of their players will put in a hefty challenge on us to let us know, my God, we are in for a game today. Yeah. Now, what's your take? Now, on Arteta, Warren, take off. Because I know you don't rate this guy. You probably don't even like him, but just for a minute, take that off. Take that hat off for a minute and just look at it on its merits, right? Just that alone. Do you think he was right or wrong in what he said?
Some of it he was right. Most of it he was wrong. for a start, I think it's inconclusive about whether the ball was in or out. From the picture we saw, it looks like the ball was clearly out. But my question is, why can't we see a picture of the ball like straight on? Because it was obviously the camera's at an angle, right? What I want to see is a picture that shows where the camera is directly in line with the touchline. Because I don't think it was. It doesn't look like it was to me. It looks like it was at like a 20-degree angle, whereas it needs to be at a 0-degree angle for us to assess whether or not it was definitely out or not. The other issue I've got with it is that he's deflecting again. Yeah. He's deflecting away from a poor performance, right? We didn't really create anything. The last 2 games we've had 4 shots on goal. And I'm sorry, but it's not good enough. If you want to be challenging for a league title, you need to be getting more than that. And I remember years ago, there was a top manager, I can't remember who it was, and they asked him about referees. He said, well, referees should just be irrelevant. Don't matter what they do. Just like go out and beat the opposition that you've got in front of you, and you shouldn't have to worry about what the referee does. And I think that's a valid point. You know, and every time we lose, there's always an excuse or some reason that's completely irrelevant to him. So I can't remember him ever coming out and saying, well, he did it the other day, actually, to be fair. He very rarely comes out and says, yeah, that was my fault and I take full responsibility for it. This is, for me, it's a distraction because I think he knows that he's running out of excuses. Like the time is running out. We're in the, as you want to call it, the end zone or the end of this project process or whatever. And if it doesn't deliver, he's gone. And I think he's like panicking. And this is why we're getting all of these bizarre excuses and all the rest of it. But yeah, some of it he was right with, but I'd like to question him as to why he didn't mention anything about Kai Havertz, his tackle.
Yeah.
Because that was clearly a sending off, 100%. But he's quite happy to have a go at Pgmol and whatever it's called and the referee about this goal that was given. But he's not happy to talk about Kai Havertz, his tackle, and he's not happy to sit and explain why the team played so poorly and didn't create any chances or take any of those chances. So that would be my take on it, mate.
Yeah, see, look, big up to Ryan Stockley, by the way, in the chat. I know we spoke briefly earlier on Insta, mate. Alan Attic as well. Big up yourselves. See, I don't know what. Do you know what, Warren? Honestly, I could come on now and have a rant and do what I do, but it just gets to a point. It's just getting boring. I said this last week to a lot of the guys in the chat. You know, I have this fear of repeating myself, and people watch me and think, "Oh, here we go again. It's the same." But it is. I can't. You know. I keep saying Mikel. I'm so sorry. I don't know why. Sorry, Michelle. Right. Right. Michel Arteta, for me, looks like a manager who's running out of ideas and quick, right? And I said this before, yeah. I genuinely, hand on heart, do believe this is his last season here. I do. Whether that means he gets sacked or he walks, right? Either way, I don't think he'll be here next season. And I think a lot of this is what is, as you said earlier on, Warren, it's like that saying, isn't it? Like the end is nigh, right? And I think seeing how we played against West Ham, I mean, that's one cup competition, you know, gone out the window. And like you'd like to think that, I mean, he even come out and said, look, in the summer, I was very close to walking away. I felt like I'd failed blah blah blah. And I actually genuinely do believe that. I don't believe he's blagging us there. I do think that was like he did think that, right? But then there's part of me now thinking, well, hang on a minute. So why not correct that and put that right this season? So that Carabao Cup, when you look at the teams left in it, yes, there are a couple of decent teams, but that's not beyond us to go and win, right? But we gave it up, yeah. We threw that away, and this bigger fish to fry comment, which is really starting to really wind me up now, right? That saying it proper pisses me off. But he has no plan B, and this is the thing. Ryan says it, and I know I think Ali D says it as well. You know, that game they couldn't string two passes together, right? I saw I think it was Kenny Ken and Jez on Lee's channel the other day. Love those guys, big them up. Kenny was a bit harsh, in my opinion. I thought with Declan Rice. My problem with Declan Rice, I don't think he's the problem, Warren. What I'm seeing is, I just think Declan's having to do a lot more than what he should, because he doesn't have a quality partner next to him, right? And that's where, in a way, I feel sorry for him. He's blatantly, every game, the more games I see us play with him in, the more and more he screams out to me, captain. Like, you know, against Newcastle, you know, it was a bloody encounter, wasn't it? You know, tackles flying in, they were all over us, they were up for it. I don't think we pussied out as much as I thought we would. There were several players in that team who I thought sort of gave it back a little bit, right? Declan Rice being one of them. Declan Rice, if you notice, he's always at the forefront. Yeah, he's always, you know, right, whenever there's a scuffle, he's the one who's right there. That, to me, screams captain, because you don't get Odegaard doing that. He stands at the back. Yeah, he's too nice, scared he's going to get a slap. Declan Rice is the first one in, right? For me, he's captain. But I also think he's having to do too much. We are so heavily reliant on Declan Rice in that middle. Right now, whether we partner him with Jorginho, who's too slow, small, lightweight, he's done, he's dusted. Yeah. Fabio Vieira, you flick him, he's going to fly. He's just not up to it for me. Right. What we needed was Partey alongside Rice. Really, if we're looking at what we've got right in the squad, is Partey and Rice, and that would alleviate Rice, in my opinion, to do a lot more damage. I think that's what Michel wants. He wants someone solid next to Rice, which allows Rice that bit of freedom to go further up and attack. So I do think Rice has got it in him to do a bit more damage for us going forward. But when you look at who he partners him with, Declan's having to do too much. He's snuffing out danger all over the pitch, right? And I do feel sorry for him there. I'd like to see him with a proper partner so that we would see the very best that Declan Rice has got to offer, right? That's my opinion. Again, a lot of people have been bashing Saliba. I personally thought Saliba had a good game. Maybe I'm watching a different game to the majority of others. I thought he was all right. Them two aside, Rice and Saliba, I thought everyone else was an absolute joke in that game. Right? Absolute joke. We are crying out for a striker. That's blatantly obvious. But I don't think that's just it, Warren, because against West Ham, I thought we were worse because we were walking, weren't really running and, you know, like breaking sweat. This game, though, showed me we're just not good enough. I think that was the thing. It wasn't so much a lack of work ethic or anything like that. I think some of these players did actually try, but I don't think they're good enough. Or they are, but they don't have a plan. And I put that down to Michel. Because I do think with a better manager, we've got a good enough team to maybe go on and win the title. I think it's Michel who's holding us back. He's not a tactician. He's not tactically astute. He has no plan B, right? The subs he made, again, were an absolute joke. He kept Kai Havertz on, right? What did he do? And a lot of Arsenal fans are saying that they thought this was his best game. He had a good game. Why? What? Because he ran around and put in a few tackles here and there. He is one of the most disliked players I've ever seen. I can't stand him, and he's one of our own. I don't like him. I don't like his face. I don't like his smugness. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. Right? And that was that's what I wanted to ask you. for me, that was a blatant sending off with Kai Havertz, that challenge he made. How he stayed on the pitch after that, I don't know. Well, what was your take? I mean...
Well, you made some really interesting points. And to be honest, that midfield, I will answer your question in a minute. He should have gone. 100% he should have walked. Red carded, no doubt about it, in my opinion. If I'd been a Newcastle fan, I would have been seething at that challenge.
Yeah.
Right? Because you saw all the way all those people jumped up in the crowd.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They were livid. So, when something like that happens, right, people will react, but the intensity of it showed you that it was bad. Do you know what I mean? But the problem with our team, particularly in midfield, is too weak.
Yeah.
We've got Kai Havertz, we've got Vieira, we've got Jorginho. I wouldn't back any of them in a scrap.
No, yeah, exactly. Fact.
Do you know what I mean? If we were having it with Man United or Spurs, say, in a scrap, that midfield, we'd be in trouble because it was down to Declan to sort it out on his own.
Yeah.
That is why I'm going to say something, and people might think I'm mad. But I would pick Mohamed El Neni in that team.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Rather than any of those other three that I've just mentioned. Because he will just sit and he will soak up. If he plays well, you can rely on him to soak it up and just give Declan the ability to charge forward through the midfield. And I don't know. And the other thing is, if it comes into a scrap, I'm not convinced about Martin Odegaard. I just don't think he's got it in him to go and fight. Do you know what I mean? It's all too much hugging and kissing and like handshakes and all the rest of it. It's too nice. Yeah, sometimes you've got to be a bit nasty and do a bit of shithousery. And, it's no surprise to me that Eddie Howe went and spent time with Diego Simeone before he became Newcastle manager, because you can see his fingerprints all over that bloody team.
Yeah.
The amount of shithousery and whatnot they get up to. That Newcastle fella who whacked Jorginho around the head. That is typical Simeone stuff. Do you know what I mean? And this is the sort of stuff we would have at Arsenal, but us doing it to opposition teams if we had him as our manager. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He'd have half these players out and we'd get proper players in who would be happy to do all that sort of shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mate, do you know what? Yeah, you're right, because the kind of... See, I'm old school, Warren. I like those. This is why I always rave about, and I always defend players like Roy Keane and the Vieiras. If someone was to ask me to do my all-time Premier League 11, I'd find it very hard to not put Roy Keane in there. Very hard. I would. I can't, because I love those sort of players, who can mix it. And obviously we've had a fair few of those players over the years. And again, I'm very aware of the sort of demographic who watch me, right? So I don't want to keep going on and on and on about the older lot. Yeah. But to me, they were men. I look at these players today; they're like boys to me. Like what you said about Odegaard, right? And I've come on here and I've said I like, I'm starting to like him, and I am. But every time I say I'm starting to see this player in a different light, and I'm starting to like what he's doing, they always revert back to, they make me eat my words a little bit, if you like, right? Because Odegaard, he does go missing. Odegaard is not a captain. You look at Kevin De Bruyne, right, in that position, yeah. But Kevin De Bruyne ain't no pussy, Warren. He can mix it. He's skillful and he can ping a pass, but he's also a little bit of a... Do you know what I mean? He's a bit naughty and all. Like Bergkamp, everyone used to say Bergkamp was nice, and yeah, he was not. But I said Bergkamp had a little bit of devil in him. Yeah, Bergkamp weren't the... Yeah, don't get that. Anyone who's watched Arsenal in that era, Yeah, when he was here. Trust me, Bergkamp was nasty. He had a nasty streak. Don't be fooled. You know what I mean? By the the butterwater melt face and all of that. No, Bergkamp had a nasty streak in him, right? And you look at these players now, and you're right. El Neni, and I said this last week, Warren. I don't know if you watched it. El Neni gets bashed, right? El Neni is not my first choice world-class midfielder, right? Of course he's not. But I will give him this. Every time there is an issue in that midfield and he comes in, he's our best midfielder. That's a fact. That's not like a fluke or a one-off. Every time he sits, he keeps his mouth shut, sits on that bench, picking up his money, something I detest anyway. But you know what? It's not big money. He's a £5 million player. He is what he is, Warren, right? He is what he is, yeah? Don't kick up fuss. But when he does come on, he does elevate that midfield. And do you know what? You can't knock him for that, right? He's never going to be glamorous, but he does a job for us. And if anything, if he comes in and he's our best midfielder, that makes you look at these other midfielders we got and think, hang on a minute. Whoa. This guy hasn't played in months. He walks onto the pitch and he pisses all over you lot. Like, so you got to question that, yeah?
It's his attitude, that mate. This is the thing. He will come on and he will give everything he's got. He might not be the best player in the world, but you cannot fault his effort. He will run and run and run and work his socks off, right? Yeah, he's not Kevin De Bruyne. He ain't like the best creative player in the world, but I tell you what, he will run through walls for you. That's the thing. You know?
No, he will. He will. And do you know what? This comment, by Ali D. Let me just tell you guys this, right? I've got a mate called John, right? He's probably watching this now, actually, right? He's also an Arsenal fan. I was out with him the other week, and we had a bit of a debate about this because I've always said Maddison pisses all over Odegaard, in my opinion, right? I love Maddison, always have. He is the other way. He prefers Odegaard. So I said to him, okay, sell me on a reason why you would take Odegaard over Maddison. And what he said was, because the thing with Odegaard will track back and he will do the dirty work as well. He will do the defensive side, whereas Maddison's great going forward, but you're getting nothing from him going back. And I heard that and I thought to myself, see, this is the problem with modern fans. Like, no disrespect to him, but the way people look at football now, right? Ozil was like that. Ozil was like, and I couldn't stand it, but Ozil was, well, because he was so good at, going that way, that you could kind of forgive him a little bit for not tracking back because he's that good going that way, right? But the way football is now, you got to do a bit of everything. What I said to him was, if I've got a player, if I'm a manager, right, and I've got a player like Maddison who is so good going forward and he can create, he can score goals, but he's useless at tracking back, right? It's one thing, Warren, if he's okay at going forward, but he can't do this. If you've got a player who is quality at going forward and doing all of that, I can forgive that. But what I would do as a manager is get players in behind him who can do it for him, right? Therefore, it frees him up to go, listen, you do damage for me going that way. Forget this behind, I'll sort that. That's my problem. I'll get players in to take that burden on, right? To take on that, the water carriers. I'll do that. You don't worry about that. I need you focused on going that way because that is where I know your true quality lies, right? Now, when I said that, he didn't agree with it. And I was like, but why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Do you know what I mean? That's like, I don't know. I just, for me, Maddison is a character. Odegaard for me is way too nice, and he looks it. He looks nice. He looks like a nice little boy, but I wouldn't melt. Any girl who's got Odegaard as her fella, every mum and dad's going to love him, right? She takes him home. Do you know what I'm saying? Maddison's a cheeky chappy. He's got a bit of character. He's got a bit of banter. And I love that. I love characters. This world we live in now, characters are dying out. We're trying to turn this into robots and all this rubbish, right? when they came to us, they give it a bit of a bit of bunty, a bit of banter. Yeah, we're going to come there. Arsenal think they're going to do this to us. No, they ain't. And let's be honest, they came and they done the business, right? So let's have it right. He is a quality player. But going back to Arsenal, mate, I just, you're right in what you're saying, Warren. I just don't see characters. And I think I said this before, and I think you said it, Jez has said it. I think we've all said it. If there was ever a better time for Arsenal to win the league, it was last season, right? Because for me, last season we were what you call an unknown quantity, right? We took a lot of teams by surprise last season. No one even Arsenal's own fans did not expect to see what we saw last season. However, this season, we're easy to play against. Teams are more prepared for us now. They know what they're going to get from Arsenal. And my issue with Michel and with this team is they have one way of playing, one plan. If that goes to pot, that's it. Right? It's like, we're 1-0 down. We're chasing the game. He takes off a defender. He puts a defender on. What are you doing? We're trying to grab a goal here. What are you doing? It's those tactics. Eric Ten Hag does it. Oh, my God, he gets bashed by every man and his dog. This guy, protected. I just don't. Honestly, I'd have an easier job breaking into Fort Knox. I just don't get it, mate. Honestly, what is it?
It's like I heard Matt, the Southern Gooner, talking about this the other day, and he was saying, "Listen, I'm American," he said, "and I'm telling you that the American owners are going to want a return on their investment." He said that's the way we are. If we invest something in something, we want to see a return on it. And I hope that is the case, because we ain't getting anything. It's like £700 million or something with that club has spent. For what?
Yeah.
But for what? We've won one FA Cup, and that's it. I don't count the charity shields, because for me they're just friendlies, right? But we've had one FA Cup for £700 million. Sorry, mate, it ain't good enough. Do you know what I mean? If Unai Emery had that amount of money, I'm convinced that we would have been in the title challenge. We would have gone and right till the end. And this is another thing. What we're seeing this season, for me, is a direct follow-on from what we saw at the end of last season. That last 10 games when it all collapsed, right?
Yeah.
We were unbeaten until that Newcastle game, but the performances have not been there. We've been poor, right? And this is what happened at the end of last season, right? We were playing badly and we didn't get away with it. We were, we're getting beaten. We were drawing games. And then this season, we've been lucky in a lot of those games. And when we went to Lens in France, that was embarrassing because they absolutely ripped us to shreds. And they're probably like the weakest team in the group, our Champions League group, and they absolutely battered us. They just didn't respect us at all. And I think it's sort of getting through that you can get at us.
Because
the players, Diesel, they're not. I just don't think they're up for a scrap. No. And sometimes you have to win the right to play before you do anything.
Warren, right? You've been watching me for time, right? As a lot of the guys in the chat. How many times do I mention the words mentality, all that sort of stuff, right? There is a weakness at this club, and for a little split second last season, I thought it had been eradicated. I thought it had gone, and obviously more for me, the club actually tricked me, and I'm still angry at that, right? Because there was a time where I thought, my God, we're actually going to win this. And then obviously once the pressure comes on top, Arsenal crumble, and that we see that every single time now, don't we? Every single time. When there's no pressure, we can kick a ball straight. It's sweet, lovely, right? Champagne, all that. And then when there's pressure on us, then it gets to the players. It gets to the players. You know what I mean? We're talking about Kai Havertz and, some of these players. For me, no one's calling out Saka, the star boy. I thought he was absolutely shocking in that game. And not only that, I think he's been poor all season. Yeah, I said this about a month ago. Yeah, a mate of mine, I was at a party, and he was telling me Saka's world class. No, he's not. Right, and I'm now you're starting to see in my, why he's not. Right, just because I don't think he's world class, I'm not saying he's crap. I love Saka. Don't get me wrong. In fact, he's one of the very few players at this club, I believe, has got the potential to reach that level. Yeah, but as of right now, Warren, he's not world class. Martinelli tries, you can watch him and he has got work rate. Things don't come off. But the more and more I watch Martinelli, the more and more I think to myself, do you know what? He's just a one-trick pony. You know what I mean? You know what he's going to do. Any half-decent fullback who studies his game knows what Martinelli is going to do. So therefore, what they do is after time, they nullify him at the game. Right? They know he's going to he's got that quick feet, that trickery, get past and try and cut in. And yeah, they know what he's going to do. Saka, last season, I see him going past the fullback. Now, he doesn't do that anymore. He wants to come back or cut in. I like proper wingers. You know what I mean? Wingers, that thing, Warren, they get chalk on the boots, right? Take the ball to the byline. Saka's pacey, is quick. He doesn't use it. He doesn't go past a man anymore. And I'd like to know why, because no one's talking about that at the moment. No one's talking about that. Kai Havertz will always be the one that you got, the go-to player, to bash, right? Well, I'm sorry. No, if you're going to go for him, go for all of them. Ben White's been poor. Yeah, Ben White's been poor. Zinchenko, you know how much I like Zinchenko. He's making, my opinion, look like absolute crap at the moment because he's poor. He's rubbish. He's not, he can't defend. Making the same mistakes all the time, right? Eddie Nketiah, you know my thoughts on this guy. I don't rate him. Championship level at best, right? At best. You look at that and you think, I'm expected to believe this team can win the Premier League and get it away from the likes of Man City. When you look at that, Gabriel Jesus, I like him, but let's be honest here, Warren. He's not an elite top level striker. He's not. We all like him because he works hard and he runs around. £100 a week, God, I'd expect that. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
The thing is, he's not a prolific goal scorer. We got one down the road at Brentford, right? But I'm telling you, he ain't going to come to Arsenal, I don't think. The reason he won't come is because Michel knows that he won't be able to handle him. That's the thing. He won't be able to handle it. I'm sure that he thinks it's going to be a problem because he's got an attitude and he knows his value and he ain't going to listen to BS. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? As soon as Mikel starts coming out with all this nonsense that he comes out with, he's going to be sitting there thinking, what? I mean, it's the same when that business, I don't know if you saw it in the Man United game or another Spurs game, when he took Declan Rice off at half-time because he was supposedly injured. And you saw Declan Rice and he was sitting on that bench and he was absolutely fuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And rightly so, because what is he doing? But the thing is, as well, we mentioned about Saliba earlier, and rightly so. But the problem is, he's got a midfield in front of him with one man effectively in it. The rest of them might as well not be there because the opposition are able to run through. So he's constantly under pressure.
Hence why I said to you earlier, so what you just said there makes my point. You see what I mean about where he's doing too much for me? Declan Rice needs help in that middle. That's why I disagreed so much with what Kenny said, right? Because I just felt it was. I think I just thought it was harsh. I think if you look at it, Declan Rice is doing as much as he can. There is more to come out of him. Like there is more that we can get out of Rice. But in order to get that out of Rice, we need to give him a steady, rock-solid partner by his side because Jorginho ain't cutting it. Fabio Vieira certainly ain't cutting it. And Kai Havertz is an absolute liability. Honestly, I'm telling you now, he is like 65 million, right? And we're raving about because of what he ran around and put a few tackles in. Warren, 65 million. You pay that for a player who's to come in and elevate the team. Elevate. You don't pay that just for numbers and fill up a squad. That's the sort of price tag you pay for someone to come in and elevate, right? And also, again, I'm going to go against the masses, right? Again, for me, I like David Raya. Yeah, I think Ramsdale's got to come back. And I know, obviously, when I speak to Jez and all the others, I know they're firmly behind Raya. I disagree with them. I'm sorry. I think for me, I think Ramsdale's got to come back. Again, look, and again, before I ask you that, again, this is a problem that we didn't need. This is a problem. It's a problem created by Michelle that didn't need to be. Like we've all said, Ramsdale needs competition. Matt Turner weren't it, right? So we needed a better quality keeper. But blimey, like we didn't ever, in our wildest dreams, think he was going to get in David Raya, like two number ones. He's created a problem that we could so do without. Like we're trying to win the league this season, Warren. Like the last thing we want is unneeded distractions. And now, if he drops Raya and puts Ramsdale back in, it makes Arteta look like an absolute idiot, right? And now we all know how arrogant the man is, right? And Arsene Wenger was like that, stubborn, yeah? He will live and die by his decision, yeah? You said it earlier on, Ivan Toney, right? If he don't cut, I think he will come to Arsenal, provided we put the money up. If we don't, he's going Chelsea, right? But I just, for me, Ramsdale's got to come back. Sorry. Because I'll tell you something now, some of the streams I've seen with like other channels, and they're picking out Ramsdale, he was this, he wasn't doing it. Right, I find it a little bit harsh on him, if I'm honest with you, because I can name games where that man has saved us. And all of a sudden, because David Raya is that new shiny toy at the moment, right, it seems like a lot of people are forgetting those games where Ramsdale, if it wasn't for him, we'd have lost. Yes, he's made mistakes, but come on, you can't have the goose without the gander, man. If you're going to talk about the bad, you've also got to talk about the good he's done as well. And a lot of Arsenal fans aren't doing that anymore. They're just talking about his individual mistakes or his cons rather than talking about his pros. Yeah, David Raya, for me, every time I watch him, I think, oh my God, he's an accident waiting to happen. Ramsdale, I just feel a bit more safe with Ramsdale. And do you know what, Warren? I believe the defenders feel safer with Ramsdale as well.
What do you think? Now, this Ramsdale situation, I mean, I really don't know what to think about it because I think they're much for muchness, right? Honestly, I can't separate them. But I sat there. I've said a few other places that I didn't really understand why, if Arteta wanted this goalkeeper, why we just didn't go out and buy him. And people said to me, "Oh, we couldn't because it's FFP and all this." But I don't know, man. I just find it a bit odd that he would have gone. If a goalkeeper is that important a position, why he went out and spent £65 million on Kai Havertz when we didn't really need him, but then he had to go and loan a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I just find it odd, right? And the other thing, I thought, right, okay, so is he using both of them? Is he using Raya to make a point to Ramsdale to say to him, pull your head in? Because last season there was a number of incidents with Ramsdale, notably the one that I remember most vividly was the away game at Spurs when that fella jumped over the hoarding and attacked him.
Yeah.
And it's because Ramsdale's got plenty of trap and he likes mouthing off at the opposition fans, right? And because of the lapses in concentration, yes, you're 100% right. He did save Arsenal numerous times last season, right, with the performances, and he has, right? But I think Michelle is sitting there and he's saying to him, you need to rein it in. You need to stop messing around with the opposition fans and blah, blah, blah. Because if you don't, I will replace you. And look what I did with Raya. Because I do believe that Arteta rates him, right? And I'm wondering whether this Raya loan signing was just to make a point to Ramsdale and say to him, right, you don't start behaving yourself, I will replace you just like that. You're not the only goalkeeper in the world, right? But I think he rates him. That's why he didn't sign Raya on a permanent deal, because I just find it odd that we didn't. If he thought that Ramsdale was a problem, why didn't we just go and sign the Raya kid and like make efforts to sell Ramsdale? Because I can't really say that I've heard anything about him leaving the club.
Yeah.
But it's just a bit odd. I don't know. Maybe because it's a bit, one of my mad conspiracy theories or whatnot. But I just find it a bit weird. Do you know what I mean? Signed a guy for £65 million that we didn't need, and for half of that money, we could have got a goalkeeper, because a goalkeeper's it's a really important position on the field.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So surely you would have prioritised, if you knew there was an issue with the goalkeeper, you would have prioritised that over Kai Havertz, who, let's be honest, did we really need him? I don't think we did.
No.
Because what's he added to the team? It's just it's like having another Danny Mesut Ozil in the team all over again.
Yeah, look, I've said that as well, and to be honest, mate, when I predicted that about it's the Ozil circus all over again, I hope I'm wrong, but I can see it happening. It's happening because even now, so many Arsenal fans are so divided over this player. Yeah, it's honestly, there's not been one game where I've actually thought, you know what? Yeah, he bossed that today. He bossed that midfield, or he played well. He looks. Honestly, I used to say this about Ozil, right? He personifies this club. Well, so when I talk about weak, limp, soft, cowardice, gutless, all these words, I look at a Kai Havertz, Warren, and he looks like that for me. He looks like a scared little boy who's been put in a team, doesn't know what to do. And if I'm an opposition player, I'm looking at him thinking, I'm having him. I am having him. Yeah. Lay one on him early doors, and that is enough for him to go missing. Yeah. That's enough. Right?
The thing is, what keeps going back in my head is, what the hell would have happened if he'd been signed during the George Graham era and he'd been brought into that dressing room with Tony Adams and Lee Dixon and Steve Bold and all them fellas? They would have murdered him, literally. You've heard the stories about how they had Lee Dixon pinned up against the wall, hanging on the coat hangers inside the dressing room, saying, "You better bloody perform today at White Hart Lane."
George would never have signed him, mate. I'm telling you. But yeah, look, even if and this is what I'm saying, right? That's the difference. When you look back, I'm talking men. The Adams, Steve Bold. I didn't really rate Andy Linnigan, if I'm honest with you. But at least with him, you'd look at him and think, yeah, he looks like a proper bloke, right? Like Martin Keown's, and we had the little, the little boys like the David Ilias, Ian Sellys, like those players you look at and you think, young little boys, I can bully them. Yeah, cool. You can try and bully them, but don't forget, you bully him, you got to contend with their mates over there, right? And I'll tell you something, you ain't going to want to go up against them, and this is what I'm saying, Warren. But that team, do you know what? This is going to sound so controversial, right? I said this the other month. Don't shoot me, guys, in the chat. Yeah, Granit Xhaka, right? I genuinely think we've lost a little something since he's gone. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying the man's class or whatever, right? He had a really good season, right, last year. Don't get me wrong. But at least with him, he gave us that little bit of bite, that little bit of what you call shithousery, right? He's gone. Declan's cut. I mean, yeah, Declan gives us that, but Declan's on his own. He's on his own.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Yes, yeah, we always used to bash Xhaka. I'll take Xhaka over Jorginho or Fabio Vieira.
Well,
I would take Xhaka over Havertz. I would.
I know.
I'm sorry, I would. That's how bad it is. Yeah? That's how bad it is. And someone in the chat earlier on said, do they really think January is going to help us out? I said it once, I'll say it again. When it really comes to the crunch, I don't think Arsenal will, have got it in them to want to, really go for the title. If we're sort of Christmas cut or January and we're sort of second, third place and we're not that far off the top, I would be expecting Arsenal to be hunting in that January transfer window and getting some quality. We don't need numbers anymore, Warren. What we need are quality players to come in, right? I don't think they're going to do it. I just don't. I'm hopeful, but I'm hopeful, but I'm sorry.
Go on, sorry, mate.
No, go on, you go. Go on.
No, I was just going to say that's another reason why I don't think Tony will come, because they're talking about 100 million for him. And if the reason we didn't sign Raya was because of FFP, where are we going to get the money from to get Tony? Do you know what I mean? And it does worry me, because if we're relying on Jesus and Nketiah to grab the goals, we got a problem.
Yeah, no, they're big time. I don't mean to keep saying this every week. It just bugs me, man, because there's not a lot wrong. Like I look at I keep saying this, with a better manager who could whip these players into shape, right? I genuinely do believe we've got the basis there, or the foundations, if you like, right? Terence's favourite word. Yeah. Right. I do. But it's like against, that game against Newcastle at the weekend, mate. It's just like, what's coming, yeah. These players know what kind of game it's going to be. Every player's got to be on point. This is Newcastle. They're not the Newcastle 3-4 years ago. This is a good side. Newcastle, yes, they've got some lumps in there. They can play ball, Warren, but they can also mix it. They can do a bit of both. I used to say to you, you guys on the stream, the Arsenal of old, the Vieiras, the Bergkamps, Ian Wright, all those players, Keones. You're in the tunnel about to come out for the first half, and you're looking at the opposition thinking, right, you lot, how do you want to play today? You want to play ball? Cool, we can play ball. But if you want to mix it, well, we can do that too. How do you guys want to play it today? Tell me. That was how it was, wasn't it? If you want to play football, yeah, we'll match you and some. You want to mix it with us, we'll match you and some. It's on you, boys. And this is what I'm saying. Games were won in the tunnel, right, back then. Newcastle, quite similar to that, where, yeah, they got the skills, they got the players, they got the technical ballers, they can play. But Warren, they can also put themselves about. They can also mix it. You said earlier on that Bruno, what's it, when he got, Jorginho around the head. Yeah. That's what you call dark arts.
Exactly.
Right? But I've got to say, I love that. I shouldn't, but I do. I love stuff like that, right?
Yes. Because that's the edge. Sometimes those little things will be the difference between you winning or drawing a game, or even drawing or losing, because it winds the opposition up. And I'm sorry, and I'm not being racist, I'm not, but I'm going to talk about Argentina. When you go into play football against Argentina or any team from South America, and I know because my ex was from South America, right? And I've seen what they're like, how competitive they are about everything. Shithousery comes into it.
Yeah.
They will do whatever is required to win. They don't care about rules or anything. In fact, they use it to manipulate the situation for their own benefit, right? Diego Simeone is from Argentina, and he is a master of the dark arts. Maradona, the hand of God. Diego Simeone, what he did with David Beckham. Right? 1978 World Cup final, Holland against Argentina, and they're kicking off because a Dutch player's got a bandage around his hand and all this. The kick-off getting delayed for 15 minutes while FIFA try and sort it out. All these little things. Mate, they worked it out. The 1990 World Cup, I think it was. The Argentinians spent about a game's worth less time playing football than any other team in the tournament because the amount of time their players were laying on the ground. Like, do you know what I mean? So therefore, they're fitter. They're going to games feeling fitter because they haven't exerted so much energy. All this sort of stuff is what I'm talking about. And that's why I want him at Arsenal, because all that sort of shithousery has been missing since George was here.
Yeah, mate, do you know what? The only manager for me who comes close to that in terms of that would probably be Mourinho. Mourinho was like that. You know, Mourinho's thing is, I don't care how I win as long as I win. Yeah. Right? And Diego Simeone is, I mean, you know as well as, I mean, I've told you this loads of times, he is my dream manager. He is. That's the man for me. And I'm not saying, or Warren and I, we're not saying I'll bring him in so we can do the dark arts every single game. No. But Arsenal need an edge, right? We need an edge and we don't have one. We are too easy to play against, especially this season. Yeah. Yes, that was our first game that we've lost all season. But we have not been at our fluid best. We've not been anywhere like we was last season. Right, and I do believe a lot of that is because we haven't mixed it up. Pep Guardiola, right, he can win a league, but he'll always change something in the summer. Always. He will never stay still. This is the problem that Jurgen Klopp's having at Liverpool, right? Because they've stayed still. Yeah, he'd get maybe 1, 2 maximum players in, and that's it. Some seasons, some transfer windows, he didn't get anyone in. Yeah. And as a result of that, sometimes your players can lose that little bit of hunger, 5 or 10% or whatever. Pep will always change it. It will always, even if they win the treble, he will change something. He needs to keep that evolution going. He needs to keep that.
Yeah. Go on. I just wanted to say something about Pep as well. Yeah. When he was at Barcelona, I heard this story. I don't know if it's true or not, but they used to have this rota thing in the team, right? Where Iniesta would go and foul someone, right? Maybe get a booking. Next time, it was Xavi's turn. He'd go in and foul someone. And it would go through the whole team so that no one would ever get sent off. Because it would all go around the team. Do you know what I mean? And this is what I'm talking about with dark arts. Pep he's not oblivious to the dark arts. He will do it if he needs to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is the problem with Arsenal. We will not do it. Do you know what I mean? And we need to bring it into our game because it will give you the edge. It'll wind up the opposition. They will get frustrated. As soon as they get frustrated, the game plan goes out the window and it becomes easier to beat them.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what that reminds me of, right? You said that when I was an example of how Arsenal was so nice. Who was it? Do you remember when we had Ainsley Maitland-Niles here, right?
Yeah.
And he got, who was it again? Some Leicester or mid, I don't know, something like that. He got sent off in the game, right? He got sent off. Someone in the chat will tell me like what game it was. And you know, like most players, they get the red card. You know, they go into one or they charge at the ref. And what's that for? All this, right? Maitland-Niles bent down, picked up the player, helped him up, grabbed his hand, helped him up, said, "Sorry, are you okay, mate? Are you okay? Sorry about that." And I'm looking at that. Look, honestly, I swear to God, and I'm thinking that is Arsenal in a nutshell. Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I hurt you? What do you mean help him up? He's the enemy. It's like you see now, like all these players laughing and joking at the start of the game, at half time, and at the end of the game. Win, lose, or draw. You see these players having a laugh and honestly, it just sickens me. Honestly,
No,
it
it
sickens me.
does. And I've seen Scott Brown winding up Rangers
Leicester.
players
That
when he
was
was
it,
playing
Leicester.
for Celtic,
Yeah.
right? They would go onto the pitch. He wouldn't look at them at the tunnel. He wouldn't shake hands with them. They'd go onto the pitch. They'd start playing. There'd be like a really over the edge tackle. Next thing you know, their players are coming up to him and he's standing there laughing at them, winding them up. And this is what I'm talking about, that sort of shithousery.
Yeah.
Like getting away with it and winding the opposition up. So they get so frustrated, they lose the game plan. Because the thing is, with Mikel, he is so. I'm convinced that he overcomplicates it, and that's part of the problem. That when they go out on the pitch, if something goes wrong or they get wound up, it's going to make it really difficult, even more difficult for them. So this is why it's happening. Do you know what I mean? This business about, winding people up so that they become frustrated and they're not able to think clearly. It is a massive factor. And particularly with a club like Arsenal, where the manager is got this real hugely fine-tuned idea in his head about how he wants the team to play. And he sends out these players out with instructions that are quite complicated, I would imagine. And then when stuff like this starts going off and they're losing it, it all goes out the window. So it makes it easier for the opposition to beat us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is why I wanted Simeone, because I'm sure that he keeps it simple, right? All these great managers in the past, they've always kept things simple, not overcomplicated things. Cloughy used to do it. George used to do it. Do you know what I mean? They would only give people a couple of instructions because they knew they couldn't handle it. So keep it simple, and then make sure that they're not adverse to using the dark arts, because there's such an advantage for them to do it, especially in a tight game where it's fairly even and you need to seek a way to get an advantage. I'm not saying that we should be using dark arts all the time. No, I'm not. But we shouldn't be adverse to using them when it suits and when when it needs it.
Yeah, because at the moment, Warren, we've got one way of playing, and if I'm honest, it was working for us last season. And again, like I said, we took a lot of teams by surprise. That term, unknown quantity, that is exactly what Arsenal were last season. However, this season, that's if you like, that second season syndrome or whatever people want to call it. More and more teams know about us. More and more teams know how to play against us, right? And just out of that Newcastle playbook, a lot of teams now will have watched that. A lot of teams will have watched the West Ham game and thought, you know what? Pound for pound, we're not as good as Arsenal, player for player. However, what we can do is what they did last week, Newcastle, and and we can bully them or outmuscle them. Look at the midfield. Well. Yeah, Partey's the only one.
Lons. Do you know what I mean? So, sorry, Diesel.
That's what I'm saying. Declan Rice is one thing. He can mix it for me. But if you're an opposition player, you're looking at what he's got with him. You're looking at the Jorginho. And we all know the midfield is the most important area of the pitch, right? It's the engine room. It's the heartbeat of the team, right? So when you're looking at Declan Rice, cool, that's one thing. But then when you're looking at Jorginho, when you're looking at Fabio Vieira, any opposition player worth his salt will look at them two and think, as Lenny McLean would say, oh, lovely. You would, wouldn't you? You know what I'm saying? It's true. Telling you, I said it last week. You look at them two and you think that is breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I know.
That's food and drink for me, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
You're going through it like a knife through batter. I mean, look at Newcastle. That's what they. I look at a Joe Linton. Yeah, he's not the greatest player in the world, but I'll tell you something. Right? What a turnaround. He's a good player. He does a job for him. But you know what? You look at him, he's a beast. Warren, he's a lump. And he can play and he can mix it. Right? Do you know what I'm saying? I look at Kieran Trippier. Trippier's quality.
Oh, there's
Quality.
another one. Trippier, right?
Oh, mate, he ain't no softie, trust me. Right?
No. Apparently, when he was at Atletico Madrid, Simeone would have him up till 1 o'clock in the morning chatting to him on the phone because he was so intense.
Right.
This is what I'm talking about. This guy, mate, he is the man. I'm telling you, he would have this team sorted out. Wouldn't need no fucking process. Excuse me, sorry. We wouldn't need no process or bloody project or anything. He would have it banging. Do you know what I mean? He'd have these players sorted out and the ones who weren't prepared out. Do you know what I mean? Because he just he doesn't. He's a winner.
Mate, mate, he screams of winner, right?
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. That is the caliber of manager that we need to be getting, yeah? Right? That is the caliber, Warren. And that's what I'm saying. Yes, people say, he's going to cost a lot of money. So if it was a player, we'd do it without blinking. A manager is just as important as these players at the club. Do you know what I'm saying? Bring him in, because I'm telling you now, at some stage, he will come to the Premier League. I honestly, I genuinely believe that. He will come at some point, and if it's not to us, my God, be the first. Yeah, be the first ones in. Honestly,
can you imagine if he went to United?
No, I don't think it'll go United. Not yet, anyway. Not yet.
The thing is, him at United would be a massive problem because he turned that club upside down. But we are the prime ones for him because we're so close. So bloody close. All we need is a proper manager, Diesel. I'm convinced of it. I'm like, get rid of a couple of these players and I think we're ready to go. But it's just whether the board will have the ambition and the wherewithal to go out and do it. Because what worries me is that if they did sack Arteta, that I've got a real massive fear about who would be number one on the shortlist for the job.
Yeah, do you know what? I made that same mistake.
Southgate.
No, do you know? I will support someone else. Honestly, if that man comes in, that is the only manager who I think is worse than Arteta. No, honestly, no. Do you know what, Warren? I said the same. I fell into that trap, right? When Wenger was here, I wanted him gone so much that I did not care who we brought in. I was so fixated on him going. Yeah. I didn't think really about, oh God, if he goes, as bad as he is, there are worse out there, right? Mm. You know what I mean? So I fell into that trap. Unai Emery coming, and you know me, I've got a lot of time for Unai Emery. I think he's a quality manager, right? But if just say Arteta goes and Southgate comes in, no, I'd rather keep Michelle. Sorry, that's how much I do not rate. I can't stand Southgate. Mm. I'm sorry. I don't even think we would do that. I don't think the board hate us fans enough to do that to us. Do you know what I mean?
It worries me because the fact he talks well. He presents like he comes in with suits and waistcoats on and whatnot. And I can just see this board going, yep, that's your man. He'll be good in a press conference and all this. And I'm thinking, is he a winner? No, he's not. No. Do you know what I mean? And it worries me because
he says it here. Look, he says it here.
By all that nonsense.
Yeah, they love yes men.
Right? Yeah, and he is.
And and that is what he is. He's like the English version of Michelle. Right? No, he is. You know, and this is what I'm saying. Look, do you know what the funny thing is? I will say this, right? This rant he went on with Pgmol, when he's obviously attacking VAR. He's attacking the very thing that won him an FA Cup. Do you know what? When you look at the irony of it, right? Right, take away the FA Cup. There's a chance he may not have been here. Like he may not be here today, right? Because he's clung on to that FA Cup, right? I think that's the one thing that's probably kept him here, or one of a few things, right? But without VAR, he wouldn't have won that. Do you know what I'm saying? So let's not bash it too much, Michelle. Right? Yeah. It keeps you in a bloody job, isn't it? But no, mate. No, Warren, I just, in a nutshell, mate, just to sum up, I look at these players and some of them are easy on the eye. But a game like Newcastle, it just shows, like, you're in the northeast, cold day, windy, rain. That typical away at Stoke, dark. Yeah, you know what I mean? You soon see what players are made of, got the bottle and the minerals, right? And you look at a lot of these players and you just think they weren't up for it. They weren't up for they couldn't string two passes together. There is something between us and Newcastle. I think we've seen it in the last sort of few games now. There is a bit of bite to that game, right? You don't even question Newcastle. You know they're going to bring it. You just know, right? They've got that profile of player, right? It's my team I look at and think, well, I know they're going to bring it. My question is, are my team going to bring it? Because I don't know. And I think that's where we are with Arsenal. You don't have no doubts with Newcastle. You go through their first 11, he can have it, he can mix it, he's naughty, he's a bit of a devil. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can do that. He's a lump, right? You look at the Arsenal and you think, he's a bit soft. He plays well in the summer. When he gets a bit cold, he goes missing. Him over there, you know what I mean? You've got Shy Havertz, Blade, don't know where, he don't even know what day it is, this geezer. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, what? It's true, isn't it?
No, I know.
Bloody hell. Proper Tim Nice, but Tim. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Worry, because, like, we've seen a few sides now mix it with us this season. Like, we've had Chelsea, we've had Lons, we've had Newcastle. There's been a few of them, and every time it's happened, we've looked ropey. We looked like we couldn't handle it, and I think it's becoming a bit of a blueprint for how to play against Arsenal, and it worries me because particularly that midfield, Diesel, it looks weak, and if we get rid of Thomas Partey, mate, it's going to be a problem. Unless there's some absolute world beater midfielder with some kiddie who's about 18 and he's about 6'4" in the midfield in the reserves or the youth team, and they're just waiting to unleash him. And he's about 13 and a half stone or something. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, mate, it worries me. It really does. But
well, I keep reading these reports of Michelle's after this player. He's only 18, 19, or is clearly a prospect, right? And he wants him to sort of play in that role that will allow Rice a bit more freedom to go further up. The guy's name, it looks like Vermaelen. It's not that, but it looks like that. It begins with a V, right? Do you know the player? I think I said this to you earlier on. Do you know the player who I really like? And I'm like, Arsenal, go and get him. He's only there, right, in London. I like Palhinha of Fulham. Palhinha, the Portuguese. Yeah, mate. Every time I watch him, I think Bayern Munich wanted him. I think he was close, but for whatever reason, it didn't pan out. But I know it's Fulham, it's a lesser club, so he's not as glamorous a name. This, that, the other. I'll tell you something. He's a good player, very good, in my opinion. I think he's a good player. He can tackle, he gets around that pitch, Warren. And do you know what the main thing? He can mix it. He ain't no idiot, right?
Because we also had Guendouzi. Do you know what I mean? Like, he would have been perfect in that midfield with Rice. But you get the likes of certain individuals going, no, it's a problem, I don't like him. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I'm sorry, but I really like him.
I used to have Raz with Terence about that. Terence used to say he's too slow. And I was like, so what do you think Granit Xhaka is? Usain Bolt's cousin or something? Do you know what I mean? It was like...
I saw him play recently again in a Champions League game, and he was on a different level. He was class, mate. And I'm just thinking there, look,
Yeah.
he's made it into the French national team in their midfield, up against the opposition that he's got in that squad, and he's getting a start.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's just, what the
I've
hell?
always said he's a good player. Do you know what? He gets a lot of. I genuinely believe if he was English, he wouldn't get half the stick he got when he was here. I honestly, I do think there's something in that. Right? Yes, he maffed it to was it Brighton, a player, Morpie, or whoever it was, about the money thing. I mean, he's a kid, man. I mean, come on, pull him out. And obviously, do you know what I mean? Whatever, have a word with him, drop him for 6 games, whatever. Right? Learn a bit of like humility. Yeah, but that's not in. He didn't do anywhere near enough for me to have bombed him out the club, right? Especially when you've got players who have done far worse than what he has, right? Someone put very quickly, Warren. Last question, right? Someone put in the chat earlier, and I can't remember who it was. I see a comment saying, and also, hang on, Ali D. Look, he's very good. He's on about Palhinha at Fulham. He dominated United on Saturday. Not as obviously not a greatest example because I could dominate United at this present moment in time. I'm sure you could, Wazza, as well, because United are absolute trash. My God, I think we've got issues. That team's done, finished. My question to you, excuse me, someone put in the chat earlier on about, is it me or are we starting to see some of these Arsenal players downing tools a little bit on Arteta? What's your take?
I thought this the other day. I was sitting there and thinking to myself, are they starting to down tools on him? Because we've seen Declan Rice getting upset with him, sitting on the bench, absolutely seething. And it's clearly not working. Do you know what I mean? Whatever it is, this plan that he's got, it's not delivering fruit. And they're sitting there thinking, what is he doing? You know, because the performances have been really poor. And I heard someone say the other day, it's like prime Arteta 2020 all over again. And it is. Remember when we were getting done at home by Burnley and getting trounced by Aston Villa 3-1? I remember you absolutely losing the plot about Jack Grealish doing Bellerin. Do you know what I mean? It's just, that was shocking. That game was absolutely awful when they came and they were 3-1 up and they were still looking for more goals. And you were going, look, we're playing Aston Villa in our own yard and they are looking for more. They're not scared. They're coming to do us bad. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what, right? You're right. I can remember all those games. This is where my thing comes. This is why people who talk like this, we are very much a minority, right? And we open ourselves to these little wrong-uns who want to come on this, like in the chat and you know, try and cane us or coat us off or whatever, yeah? Right? There's such a thing as standards, Warren, yeah? All the big clubs have got it. Look at Bayern Munich's fans, right? You know, but they're scoring goals for fun at the moment, right? But they're not doing it with quite the right style. Their fans are on them, yeah? They want Tuchel out, right? He's just brought them Harry Kane. Harry Kane scoring goals for fun. He's scoring more goals than I'm having birds around here at the moment, right? Yeah, right? And they want him sacked, yeah? Real Madrid, look at that. It's, you know, look at the fact. Do you know what I mean? I look at this, yeah, and you're right. I've seen Arsenal to go 1-0 down, 2-0 down, 3-0 down. And that team who are 3-0 up are working harder than what we are. And we're the ones who are 3-0 down. And that has always been my gripe. I'm not saying Arsenal can win every single game, every single time, but no. Right, but there is a way. There is a way of losing. There is a way of winning. Yeah, there's such a thing as work rate. Fans nowadays marvel over certain players. Jesus is a great example, Gabriel Jesus. Arsenal, it doesn't get anywhere near enough goals for us. But Arsenal fans love him. Why? Because he works hard. Lacazette, at one stage, a lot of Arsenal fans loved him. Why? Because he works hard. So all you've got to do is work hard. Eddie Nketiah got that brand new contract. Why? Because he runs around and he works. He looks busy. He's a busy fool. Yeah? He gets a contract based off of that. That would never have happened in George's era here. Yeah? You come up with the goods or you don't play, you're out. You know, exactly. But now, Yeah, because of the quota, we need a certain amount of English players and this, that, and the other. You have 1 or 2 good games, all of a sudden you're spoken about for the England squad. That's how easy it is now. Do you know what I'm saying? And I look at some of these players who are literally nicking a living, right? We're in a cost of living crisis at the moment. I keep saying this. The worst players in this Premier League are millionaires. I'm not even talking about the class players in this league, the world-class players or the ones who are up there. I'm on about the worst Premier League players are multi-millionaires, right? There are players who sit on that bench who don't even get a game. They're millionaires, right? And I look at Man United, for example. I'm loving what I'm seeing over there at the moment, but that is very much a team who are playing to get the manager out. That is very much a team who are downing tools, because they will outlive him. Yeah, a manager's got no power in this day and age. It's not like how it was when we were growing up. You know, somebody's asked against West Ham, some of those Arsenal players who are walking, and I'm like, you know what it's like with train strikes and etc. in London at the moment. Winter is here, it's raining, it's cold, it's windy, yet somehow, no matter what the weather, these fans still graft and do that journey and get to the game. And you produce that. Like, that's where I have to call it out. That's where I'm like, I'm sorry. Do you know what I mean? If you're not going to play for the man, play for the kids who have come to watch you, play for the people. Yeah. These players have got their wives and their kids, their children up in the boxes. At least do it for them. Like, I'm sorry, like, do you know what I mean? I just not many talk about that enough for me. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? It's so easy to down tools. And whether we rate the manager or not, any Arsenal player who is downing tools to get this manager out, or whether they don't like him, I don't care whether I like Arteta, whether I rate him or not. I think it's disgusting. Any player who does that, I do. I just think it's wrong. I think the quality in the Premier League's down. I really do. I've said that to you numerous times. I prefer players of old rather than the players of today. Look at the strikers, mate. We had an era where we had Alan Shearer, Dwight York, Andy Cole, Robbie Fowler, Michael Owen, all of them in the same era. You look at the goal, the goal scorer league, the table, the top scorer, all of them. You could name 8, 9, 10. Look now, what we've got: 1, 2, Haaland, Tony. Yeah. That's it, right? Watkins.
No, it's poor. It is poor, and I've said it for a while that the standard of football now isn't a touch on what it was in the when we were going toe to toe United. Do you know what I mean? It isn't like in the 90s and the 80s. I'm sorry, it was way, way better. And this team that we've got now would not be able to compete in the Premier League as it was then. It wouldn't. It would be in relegation trouble because it's piss poor. It really is. Like, the players that we've got, and they just would not cut it. They wouldn't. Like, imagine our midfield up against Roy Keane and Paul Ince and people like that.
You're talking it's food and drink.
Ridiculous.
You know what I mean? It's food. Honestly, mate, it's food and drink. You know, I like a team who can play ball, but who can also mix it. I can't lie. I do really like Newcastle. I do. I like what Eddie's doing there. You know, I like that team he's got. I mean, I watched that game they played against PSG, and I just thought, my God, they just battered them. They've made that stadium an absolute fortress, right? Fortress. I didn't think we were going to win this game. I thought we'd lose against Newcastle. I thought we'd score. I thought they'd do us 2-1, right? But I just watch it, and I like that. I shouldn't like it, but that Bruno elbow, those little things. By the way, how he got away with it, I'll never know, because they did check it, and they deemed it to be okay. And I was like, wow, okay, right. Well, that's straight away, that's corrupt as it is, right? Almost took the geezer's head off, but he was only playing. All right, cool. But you know what I mean? But it's those little things, mate, that whatever it takes to win, whatever it takes to unsettle the opposition, right? Now, over the years, Arsenal have always been known as the team, look, you know, they can play nice football, but you get in their faces and you show them a thing or two, trust me, at some point during the game, they will hide. And Arsenal have always had that tag. Not always, but the last several seasons, right? You know, we always have. Yeah. And Newcastle just showed all the other teams in this league how to do it. So unless Arsenal toughen up quick, because winter is here, yeah, do you know what I'm saying? And I know some of these players don't like playing in the cold, but I'll tell you something, Michel's got to sort something out and quick. He's got to dip into the transfer window in January, Warren. If they've got any aspirations of going for the title, yeah, they have got to spend, because it's disgusting how we've spent 700 million and I can't name you one world-class player in this squad.
Oh, I know, because the thing is, Diesel, I have to be honest, mate, if this form continues and it carries on the way it has been, I'm not convinced he's going to be here but after Christmas.
So you say that I can't see them sacking him.
I mean,
I really can't. I can see him walking. I can't see them sacking him. I might be wrong. I don't know. I know what you're saying about they want to see a return on the investment. I do get, you know, I understand that. But he seems to me like another Wenger with regards to he's running things from top to bottom. Yeah, this is a man who's walking on water at the moment. He walks on water. I don't know how, but he is. This man can do no wrong.
See, this is where I've got a problem with the owners, right? Because if I was the owner, I would be in that office and I would be calling him up saying, I want you to come and see me, and saying to him, what's going on? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? What's happening with that one? Why is this? Why you spent 65 million on him? He's rubbish. Do you know what I mean? And like demanding answers out of him. But I get the impression they're just like letting him do whatever he wants and there's no accountability or anything like that attached to what he's doing. And that is a worry because who's going to hold him to account, Diesel? Do you know what I mean? If you go into work and you know that your boss is just going to let you have carte blanche, are you going to work as hard as what you would otherwise?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I liked about Roman at Chelsea. You know, like no manager was ever, you know, plate some meat under the table, comfy as anything, right? You lose 2-3 games in a row, you trust me, they start sweating, right? Because there's an owner. I will give you, right? This is my deal to you. I will give you whatever you want, money, whatever player you want, I'll get it for you. But once I've done my bit, you now got to do yours. And if you don't do it, you're out. And this is the thing with Arsenal, right? You know, it's like Wenger. You know, it's classic. I know this is going to upset Steffi because she loves him, right? But I can't help it. You know, I don't know any other top club who would have tolerated that amount of failure year after year. In fact, every year he failed, he got a pay rise. Name me a job other than football that does that. You had a poor season, you won nothing. Yeah, you dropped a league position, but here we go. We're going to give you a big fat bonus. And also on top of that, we're going to give you a pay. I don't understand that. Right? I'm sorry, I don't. Right? What a job. My God, sign me up, right? But but it's true, isn't it? It's we're too nice, Warren. Like, you know, there's no Thierry Henry said it, and I've always quoted him because he's right. Everything's all nice at the Arsenal. It's all nice. It's all comfortable and it's all, you know, it's lovely. No one upsets anyone. It's all Care Bears and popcorn and candy floss and toffee apples. And do you know what I mean? It's true, isn't it?
It's true, though. He's right. He's 100% right. Because he went into that club and if you didn't perform, if you didn't get it from George, you'd get it from Tony Adams. And if you didn't get it from Tony Adams, Keown would give it to you. Or Dixon would give it to you. Do you know what I mean? Or Winterburn would. Yeah. There were like 6 or 7 players that if you didn't perform, you'd have to be on your toes because they'd give it you. Do you know what I mean? And there isn't that anymore.
Yeah. So look, Ali D says it here. I can see him getting sacked. They've invested too much into the guy. They've entrusted him with effing everything, including getting rid of very good players. Exactly, mate. But it shows what can be done if you know what you are doing. I still find that baffling, though. 700. I mean, guys in the chat, right? Deep this for, a minute. 700 million spent. Not one world-class player in that squad. Right, squad, not team. Squad. 25-man squad. Not one world-class player. Saka, not world-class. Martinelli, not world-class. Declan Rice, again, not world-class. Those are the three players who I believe have got the potential to get there. But as we sit here right now on the 6th of November, Warren, those three are not, I repeat, not world-class. They're not. Saliba could get there. He's not world-class, not yet.
You look at that team, right? Starting 11, if everyone's fit, how many of them would walk in to the Real Madrid team, the PSG team, right? Any of the teams that regularly make the quarterfinals or the semi-finals of the Champions League? How many of our players would not only be considered as an option to go and buy, but to get into the team, into the starting 11 on a regular? They wouldn't. Not one of them. Possibly Saliba, right, in the future, but not yet. This is the problem, mate. We should have like at least 5 or 6 where that was the case, but it's not. No. And we've got a manager who isn't cutting it. And he's alienating players, and he's tactically inept, and he hasn't got that edge to him. Like, and I keep going on about it, but Diego Simeone, I just mate, if he was to come into this club, he would transform it. He would just not take any nonsense of anyone, because he's like, he's gangster manager. That's the thing. He's a gangster. You know what I mean? He's got that real dark side to him, and he's really intense.
Do you know what? He would take it levels, right? And I've got to say this. I haven't said this in a while, right? And I'm gonna jog people's memories, right? And I'm gonna say it now. Yeah, something my dad always used to sort of say to me, right? You get all those old school sayings. Cream always rises to the top, and that's true. It does. Yeah. Arsenal, right? And I've always said this, right? You look at our manager right now, Mikel Arteta, right? Walk into a canteen. You got the top table right up there, right at the front. On that top table, you got Jurgen Klopp, you got Pep, you got Conte. Yeah, you got top managers on that table, right? Mikel Arteta walks over and goes to sit down. Looks at a place. He can't sit there, right? That saying, Warren, dining at the top table.
Yeah.
Simeone comes in. He sits on that table. Guess what? He fits in. He's a top manager, right? That's the level. This is what I'm saying, right? Fergie and even Wenger back in the day, I'll give him his due. They're after a player. You got a player at home having dinner with his missus and his kids. Phone goes. Mrs. answers the phone, right? Babe. It's Sir Alex Ferguson on the phone. He wants to talk to you. I don't care what meal you are having. It could be pie and mash. It could be your best ever dinner. Sir Alex Ferguson's on the phone. You are running to that phone, Warren. You're running, right? You're running. Wenger, in his heyday, you are running. The respect these two managers had. You are running to that phone. Sod the dinner. Sod it. If it gets cold, and what? You know what I mean? Mikel Arteta. I'll call him back. My roast is getting cold, babe. I'll call him back. I'll call him tomorrow. Right? You ain't running for this man. That's the difference. I know it's a funny analogy, But you know what I'm saying, right? There are levels to this. There's levels. You know, you either class or you're not, right? And this is what I'm saying. Managers of that ilk, Simeone walks in that dressing room. See how all these players are chatting. He walks in. They shut up, sit up, attention, right? Simeone's got that. He's got that thing about him where, listen, you ain't dealing with an idiot here. You're dealing with someone who's do you know what I mean? He's on the, you know what I mean? He's up there. He's up there. He's grade A. Michelle walks in. They're still chatting. No one's shutting up for him. Some managers have a presence. They have an aura. Yeah. Simeone's got it. Wenger had it. Ferguson's got it. You know, that aura, right? Players respect that. And this is what I'm saying. Simeone, all day long, Warren. Break the bank if need be. Go and get him.
think we should just go and get him. Even if it means we got no other money for the rest of the transfer window. I don't care. Get him in because I know that he's going to transform that squad and on top of that, transform the club. Do you know, because we're too weak and spineless, and we're seen as a soft touch, and it's got to stop, Diesel. We're never going to go anywhere or win anything all the time. We've got this aura about us.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, facts. What AJ says. Steffi, yeah, Wenger, yeah. No, I agree. He could, yeah, Wenger could. Listen, as much as I coat this guy off, it was towards the end. That's where he really upset me because he put himself before the club. I can't forgive him for that. And this top four thing, this all started from him. He lowered the standards of the club. However, the first 10 years of Wenger, my God, class. Brilliant. He's done enough at this club to warrant a seat at that table, in my opinion. Right? I've got to be fair with that. Yeah, he's up there. He's revered. You know, we had players signed for Arsenal because of Arsene Wenger. That's a fact. Like, there were players who were a bit, I don't know, I'm in an ahhing about coming to Arsenal. One phone call from Arsene Wenger, bang, sealed the deal, right? Let's be honest, he had that about him. He does. You know, I can't say he hasn't. He has, right? Warren, I said we'd go for an hour one. Here we are, an hour and 37 minutes. You know what I'm like? I've got such a trap on me. I'm so sorry. It's this. I can't, honestly. Guys, look, I'm going to let Warren go now. I think he's earned it. No, but all joking aside, thank you for coming on. You're doing, well, you're going to be on it very, well, soonish.
Yeah. I've done a little bit of it. I had to put it to one side because of that awful bloody cold thing I had after the flu jab. Right? Yeah. But I'm going to be kicking on again with it because it needs to be talked about. I've watched something today, man. Jeez. It was full on. It really was. So, yeah, I'm going to be on here soon talking about the Madeleine McCann case. So that'll be interesting. Exactly.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm looking forward to that. That really intrigues me. That, and like I said, I've got my own thoughts on that, but it'd be interesting to see what you discuss with it as well, because that for me, that's not clean cut at all. It's not. But yeah, guys, listen. Thanks for joining us. Was it Monday? God, it's my worst day of the week for me. But yeah, listen. I streamed last week. I streamed this week. That's two in a week. I'm doing all right, Warren. Eh? Come on, Diesel's back. Listen, no, mate, always a pleasure. I can't. There's not many people I can stream with. I'm funny like that. I can't help it. But you, all day long, you know how much I love you, mate. So yeah, thank you for coming on. And please,
thanks for having me, man.
No, anytime, mate.
Really
You know that.
it.
You know that. We just bounce off each other. I love it. We're like twins. You know, it's like Grant and Phil. Ronnie and Reggie, isn't it? Eh?
No. Especially now.
I'm slightly taller, but other than that, my God, can you see a difference? No. But guys, honestly, thank you for watching, and we shall see you soon. And also subscribe to Warren's Team Talk, please, and his new channel, Unveiling Reality. See, I remembered.
Exactly. Diesel.
Come on. Love you guys. Big up yourselves. Wish you well. Later. Bye.